Hey, my lovely people. Welcome back to A Black Cat's Voice. This is your host, Kat, Katie, Catherine, Killer Cat, Killer K, whatever y'all refer to me is. It's your girl. And I just wanted to announce, if I haven't already, that there will be 3 more episodes, and that will be the conclusion of season 4. So just know that after the end of season 4, I won't be releasing any more new episodes this year, but I will still be uploading content to my YouTube channel, to my Instagram, to my Facebook. So y'all make sure y'all check me out on there, all under the same handle at A Black Cat's Voice. And yeah, I'll definitely keep uploading new stuff there weekly, at minimum twice a week. I'm trying to just, keep putting something new up there, but at least once a week. You can always go to my pages and you should see at least one new thing. So check me out, go follow me, subscribe to me on YouTube if you haven't already. For anyone who may not know, I dropped a poetry book. It's available on Amazon as both a paperback and an ebook. It's called A Black Cat's Voice, and it's priced at literally under $20. So make sure y'all go check it out. For everybody who's bought it already, thank you so much. And if you would be so kind as to leave me a review, that would definitely help push it through the algorithm. And, just thank you guys so much for supporting what I do, because it really means a lot. And I am a work in progress, just like anybody else. I am not perfect. I am wise, but I am not perfect. I make my mistakes. I get out of pocket, get out of character at times. But, I never try to just punish myself, because I know we're all human and we all make mistakes. So as long as you learn from them, that's the most important thing. So for tonight's episode, I will be discussing something that may be triggering to people listening. So just be aware that I'm never trying to trigger anybody. I never have any malice or any, harmful intentions when I'm discussing these sensitive topics. Just know that I feel in my heart these things need to be talked about, and that's why I'm speaking on them. And when it comes to tonight's topic, addiction, I have experienced certain levels of it myself. It has affected people in my family. It has affected friends. I've just had a lot of really crazy experiences when it comes to addiction. So I just really think it's important that, we kind of talk about just those, not just the easy, the beautiful, the positive things. Sometimes we got to talk about the sad stuff too, because putting everything on the table, at least we can see what we're working with. You know what I mean? So yeah, let's discuss addiction. Okay, so addiction. Addiction is defined as a strong inclination to do, use, or indulge in something repeatedly. So when it comes to addiction, I know a lot of people always think it's just it's drugs. People got to be shooting up heroin, or, got to be doing crack, or I don't know. I know a lot of people have misconceptions when it comes to addiction, but people can be addicted to anything, contrary to belief. Even healthy things, when used in the wrong capacity, can be a bad addiction for somebody. Perfect example, a lot of people, when they have injuries, I myself included, have been to the doctor for, I've had to have surgery and just different procedures for medical issues I have. And they typically prescribe you pain medication. And a lot of these pain medications are opioids, which is a classified Schedule 1 drug, or Schedule 2, which means that it's highly addictive. So you'll take the medicine and, you won't feel no pain, but you get used to that feeling of not feeling any pain. And then you find yourself going from, okay, let me just use one, every few hours, to, okay, well, you know what, it's only been a few hours, but let me take another one, or let me take twice the dosage. And it's so easy to get addicted to that stuff because sometimes you don't even realize what's happening. You just get used to, especially being in pain, you get used to not feeling like, you don't want to be in pain. So if you don't catch yourself, you can easily become addicted to those things, especially because if you have a chronic medical condition, you can get a prescription for a lot of pain medicine and you can keep getting refills and everything like that depending on your doctor. So it's kind of like a legal drug habit, I would say, in a way. And I know you've heard all these songs where people be, Molly Percocet and, all these other rappers and people who've been addicted to pain meds. Like, it's really a real thing because once you start taking it, it's kind of easy to just get used to the feeling of being on the pain medicine. So it's not necessarily like you're like, okay, let me just wake up and do this because, oh my God, I know what I'm doing, but let me hurt myself anyway. Like, it's not like that. A lot of the times, it's like, if you don't see yourself slipping, it's so easy to slip into that lifestyle and slip into that habit that by the time you realize you're harming yourself, you've really done a lot of damage. And I've seen it happen in so many instances in my life, especially specifically with pain medicine, because it's not as hard to get as people think, And unfortunately, I've lost, family members, friends, just a lot of people I know and really, really loved due to, drug use. And it's not because they woke up one day and was like, I want to get addicted to pills. Let me just start popping pills. Like, no, it's literally like you don't know what someone is already struggling with outside of needing surgery or outside of, having, constant back pain or whatever the case may be. You don't know what someone can already be struggling with. And then once they find a way to numb that, like, at least when I take this pill, I'm not thinking about this, or at least, when I use this drug, I'm not thinking about that. It's so easy for people to slip into that because a lot of people have pain that they don't know how to deal with. And the saddest thing is, like, a lot of the people, when I say I've lost people to drug use and, I've lost friends and whatnot, I'm not even talking about these people passing away. I'm talking about these people are literally a shell of their former selves, if that. I have family members that I don't even recognize when I see them. I have friends that, like, literally the normal, activities we take for granted, especially as, young people in our 20s, our 30s, just out here supposed to be living life. They can't even do the daily functions because the drug use has messed up their body. I have friends who can't walk right now, who can't talk right now. And it's really hard because the thing I feel like nobody recognizes when people do drugs is like, what is hurting you so bad that you feel like you need to do that to yourself? I really wish more people would ask that without judging, and then maybe more people would be open to other solutions instead of just feeling like they gotta numb the pain. You know what I mean? Like, it's really sad when you think about it. So another form of addiction I wanted to talk about, definitely, especially the culture nowadays, and y'all gonna hate me for saying this, but alcohol, like, y'all, like, I just feel like, you can do whatever you want with your life because it's your life and that's your body. So even if, like, I'm a person that, like, I know it's controversial, but I'm a person that I believe all drugs should be legal because I feel like if you want to sit there and do drugs all day, you should have that right. Like, you should be able to do that. And because I studied pharmacy and, all these different things, a lot of the drug laws are not really to protect you from doing drugs. It's literally just to make sure that you're not making money that can't be taxed. That's what it is more than anything. Like, they don't really care. if you do drugs or not. Like, there are certain people that care, don't get me wrong. But as a whole, the government does not. I'm not going to even say the government. I'm going to just say, as a whole, most people really don't care if you do drugs like that unless it's directly affecting their life. So, yeah, and their money. So, anyways, when it comes to people who are addicted to drugs, like, some people's drug of choice is alcohol. Alcohol is legal. Like, y'all can Google at any time how many people literally die each year because of people, who were drunk driving. It's very common. A lot of people drink and drive, and I'm not judging nobody for doing that. I'm not telling you what to do, because at the end of the day, you have every right to do what you want with your life. But it's not fair that alcohol is legal. And when you go to a bar, when you go to a restaurant or something, they don't ask, oh, are you driving? Can I see your keys? All they ask for is your ID. So many people go get plastered, get just really drunk, and then get behind the wheel. And it's not fair that some kid has to grow up without a mom because somebody wanted to get behind the wheel drunk. Especially in today's day and age, like, you have Lyft, you have Uber, you have so many ways not to drink and drive. You got the bus, you got the train, you could walk depending on where you live. Like, it's crazy how common it is that people will drink excessively, get behind the wheel, and then put everybody's lives at risk just because that's how they have fun, And when it comes to alcohol, like, I drink, don't get me wrong, but I don't drink in excess. And I'm not a person, for the past few years of my life, I'm not a person who drinks every weekend. It's never every single weekend or every few weeks I need to drink. I'm not even like that. Like, I was like that at one point in my life. But when I used to drink, actually, you know what? Let me just keep it all the way a buck. There was a point in my life, and very few people know this. There was a point in my life when I literally used to drink every single day. Every single day I would drink. And most people didn't even know that I was like an alcoholic, just because I would still go to work on time. All my bills was paid. Still showing up to class. Still making good grades. Like, use me as a perfect example that just because somebody seems okay, it doesn't mean that they may not be addicted to something that is hurting them. And for me, what really stopped me from drinking and just, doing all this stuff every day is that I got to the point where I literally would wake up sick, and I had to just start asking myself, like, why am I doing this to myself? Why do I want to be drunk every day? And then with friends, with significant others, like, even just with watching myself, I didn't like the way I would act when I would drink that much. So I made a promise to my dad, rest his beautiful soul, and to myself, that I'm not going to sit here and keep doing this when I know that it's hurting me and I know that it's making me hurt other people. So that's why I drink at times, but I really got it under control, because you should be able to check yourself. Like, nobody should have to come tell you. Sometimes you need somebody to tell you that you kind of doing a lot. But being an adult, you need to learn to be self-aware. It's very important to be self-aware and to know where you're messing up at, Like, it's even like another example, don't hate me for this, y'all. I got to keep it all the way 100. Smoking weed. So I'm with all of it. I love ganja, zaza, marijuana, whatever you want to call it. I'm with it. I love it. But the reason why weed can be considered a gateway drug and all this stuff is because certain people smoke weed not realizing they have addictive personalities. And when you start smoking weed and you get high to a capacity that you start wanting something else, it's kind of like the weed didn't do it, that was already in your head. It's already like a chemical imbalance in your brain to have an addictive personality. And people who smoke weed all the time, like, it's nothing wrong with smoking. Like, it makes you feel good. For people like me, it helps with, my medical conditions. It helps me be able to eat. It keeps me from being nauseous all the time. So there are a lot of medical reasons why people use marijuana. But if you feel like you need to smoke, and especially you feel like you need to smoke every day, then that has become an addiction for you. Anytime you feel like you need to do something every day and you feel like you can't get through the day without doing that specific thing, that's an addiction. And it's okay. It's okay. At the end of the day, like I said, I'm not telling y'all to do drugs. Please don't, if you can help it. But if somebody want to sit there and shoot up heroin all day, they have that right, because that's your body, and it's your life. You can do whatever you want. Once again, this is not a suggestion. I'm just saying you can do whatever you want with your life. But if in any capacity you can't just be sober, you really got to ask yourself, what are you running from? And it don't have to necessarily be drugs or alcohol. Some people use sex. A lot of people use sex and use other people as their addiction and their distraction from what's going on in their life. I know y'all know people who every 5 days they got a new boyfriend or they got a new man. There's a lot of people who don't know how to be by themselves. Like literally, you never see them spending any time by themselves. They're always with a friend, always with this person, always doing this, always doing that. And it's fine to build relationships with people. But to me, it's a major red flag when someone doesn't know how to be alone. Because if you don't know how to be alone, that means that there is something happening when you're by yourself that you're running from. And we all got pain. You feel me? We all been through stuff. I done had a crazy life. Like, I don't know nobody who's had as crazy of a life as I have. And I don't use that as a competition, or I don't use that to justify if someone should be hurt behind something that happens or not. Your feelings belong to you. So if a situation hurts you, you have every right to be hurt by it. But the more you run from pain and the more you run from things that you don't want to think about, you're only hurting yourself. And addiction, it doesn't just hurt the people who's doing it. It hurts the people that you love. It hurts the people that love you. Because for me, for the people in my life, it's so heartbreaking to know that we could have had such a different relationship had they never, been doing whatever they were doing to hurt themselves. Had they not been running from the pain, had they talked about it, or just tried something, more productive, who knows how different my life could be? Who knows how different their life could be? And it's so sad because so many people don't come forward because there's so much shame behind being addicted to anything. And some people are addicted to even good things like working out. Some people literally work out too much to where the doctors will tell them like, hey, you're straining your body too much, or hey, you need to sit down, or hey, you need to do this or that. You can be addicted to anything and it can be unhealthy. But the thing is, if you're in pain and if you're dealing with pain, if you're trying to numb it, the more you run from it, the worse it's going to get. And I'm only telling you that from experience. So I really do understand why people get addicted to things and why people do make poor decisions and poor choices in their life. But at the end of the day, it's always on you to take that responsibility for yourself. So either you're going to keep that addiction going or you're going to stop it before it takes over you. You know what I mean? It's really up to you. Either way it goes. But just know whenever you have an addiction, you're hurting way more than just yourself. So if you need help, please go get help. Please. Just know that you are loved and you are more worthy than you think. And as always, thank you for listening. Take care.